How is everyone doing on this beautiful August 1st day, 2017, I believe it is. What I do know is we are all here in the present. And so I was looking at Facebook and got one of those, you did this X amount of years ago. And so it turns out that I started my own journey, which involved me being frustrated with my life that was just going in circles, barely making ends meet. Though it wasn't for lack of hard work and my own form of dedication, absolutely. And still, when all that did not work out, I said, all right, I'm out. I'm going to just withdraw from the way everyone else is doing it, find a way. And because I was born into, you might say, a set of circumstances that once controlled me, those same circumstances were also molding me. And so recognizing that, I've turned everything that was once a stone that I was under into a stone that I'm stepping upon to get me to higher and higher levels of consciousness, just like my buddy Jimmy Marks. Brother, what's up, dude? I saw you sneak in there. Oh, sneaky snake. Good job on the trampoline. Jimmy Marks, by the way, is the husband of Valerie Marks, who I mention in my videos, and she has been a wonderful friend and sounding board. Her husband as well. They're lovely children, and but with that, so back to round two, and what I'm down to do with this life. So I started a journey where I said, okay, I'm leaving behind conventional work, which primarily I did everything from digging ditches to managing private beachfront estates in Hawaii. And but all it was just me chasing after the carrot. And as far as me getting out of bed every morning, it was tough because my heart just was not in it. But when I was at play or something, yeah, I will wake up anytime. Just like I used to go surfing in Hawaii and be up at 5:30 just to catch the waves at 6:30 or 6 even. And it's when you get that rush out of what you do with your daily life, you'll never want to go back to, because you can no longer settle for anything lesser than a grand experience, which life is all the time. Just at whatever level you're at. You don't have to have money in the bank, because the banks can all collapse and now nobody has money in the bank. So are you going to collapse as an individual without these things, or are you going to stand strong just like gold when money comes and goes? But gold is universal, and the gold is not out there, it's in here. And in my writings and talks, I am big on symbology. I've studied the likes of Carl Jung and my hero, Joseph Campbell. And welcome, by the way, Dor, welcome, Nicole, and welcome, Annabella. In these studies, essentially everything in this world that we experience is a symbol of our inward reality. And when I looked, before I took the leap of faith and left conventional work behind, I looked at the reality, all the symbols that were staring back at me, and there was time, there was tension, there was lack, there was never enough. And I said, well, what do I want it to look like? And it didn't involve any of those things. It involved being with friends and having a phenomenal time and enjoying the outdoors and working with my hands. And so I just decided that I'm going to leave behind my place that I would rent, because rent turned out to be my biggest expense. That kept me working a number of hours that prevented me from digging inside myself. And if I needed more alone time and just could not be bothered with work because I was finally being valued by valuing myself above work, so that I could find my center being and then live my purpose from that. And purpose is a whole other plateau that work just will never satisfy. But good work will get you there, just like it has me. And so I started looking at the symbols that I wanted to appear in my life, and I thought of refinement and intelligence and beauty and grace, and that meant there were things that I had to let go of, which were being self-involved, being egocentric, having bouts with jealousy, and or picking up behaviors along the way that like jealousy, that never belonged to me, yet because I got to experience them through me, that means they are essentially a component of my life. And it's a very valid component and very operable. And all I have to do is take my consciousness to the level of a jealous individual, and poof, I'm there. However, it's like once you've had, I don't know, Cristal, which I've had, and it's not, sorry, but Cristal, you just don't go for barefoot bubbly. And that is a good distinction there, actually, yeah. So, what is the point? Well, the point is, so I started envisioning what symbols I wanted to show up. And sure enough, those started showing up. And sure enough, people started coming into my life that were going to challenge me. Like, it's as though the universe is saying, are you sure you want this other life? Because here I am, your old temptations, you know, whatever they may be. And you're either going to be like, yeah, I'm sure, or you're going to be like, well. And if you're in that well part, that's okay too, because everything is cyclical. But recognizing those cycles and recognizing people who are showing up in a different, you know, outfit, but the same reason, you know, an individual who reappears in your life can either become more refined, or, you know, if you're doing your homework, or they're going to be more of the things that you're not allowing yourself to be open to in your own life. So I will say that I'm kind of a romantic, and I started this journey in February, and I lived in the Bay Area after Hawaii, and left my place behind and started staying with friends on couches. Sometimes it was a couch, sometimes it was a garage, sometimes it's an amazing house, much like the ones I just start to stumble upon more frequently. This is a leap of faith that I've taken, but my whole life has been steeped in uncertainty. I grew up with a mother with multiple personality disorder, and there was no means to make a consistent means of income. And so I've been working since I could pick up a shovel. And it's brilliant. It's so you can't put a price on that. And I started in February, and since then I wanted to be creative. So if you ask, what am I? I couldn't tell you, because I'm always becoming, or I'm allowing whatever I am to become without putting a label on it. And but I do know I love the cinema, and I love storytelling. And in the spirit of Joseph Campbell, I wanted to spend some time on Oregon. So if you go to my Facebook fan page, there's a whole series of videos that I shot in the wilderness because, aloha, Valerie Marks, because I am kind of a nature bear. I love being in the wilderness, in the woods, or anywhere, outdoors, in nature, because it is my nature, wild and free, as it is all of us. And so I learned big time that if you truly want to live a wild and free life, you've got to be wild and free with yourself first. And that means throwing off the judgments to yourself. You know, the word impeccable means without sin. Im is the without. And what a sin is any act against yourself. And so when you are impeccable with your word, for example, you would never say anything to harm yourself. Therefore, everything you say is a reflection of love towards another aspect of yourself called Joe or the neighbor or whomever. And you can never truly know this person, just as they can never truly know you. But the recognition that you're both human, you both bleed, you both were born from a loving mother, and no mother, race, creed, religion, wants to bear a child for the length that it takes to bring a child into this world and then send it off to kill somebody else's child. No mother. I can stand by that. And so that is the power of the feminine mystique united, is she brought us into this world. And she's going to take us out. That's the whole origin of the burial, is you put back into Mother Earth what came out of the womb of Mother Earth for rebirth. In the vegetal mythologies of the old world, there was a cutting, and pruning is actually healthy for a plant to help it grow, but the cutting of the plant, the eating of its body, and then the burial of its seed so that the plant is reborn again from its seed. So look at that, 10. I definitely got the panda thing going on. That's my squirrel thing, by the way. So there is a death and rebirth mythology in all religions, and it is not to be taken literally and concretely whether these individuals exist or not, but what those symbols are saying, trying to tell you about yourself. Have you been reborn? Have you died to your animal nature, which is primarily concerns with health, wealth, progeny, and been reborn a human incarnation who acts out of compassion? And acting out of compassion is seeing the other and you as one. And so just as you would be impeccable with your word because you would never commit a sin against yourself, all of these other individuals in your life are all different aspects of yourself. And so you get to fine-tune how you respond to each of them. And some of them will leave your path, and some of them will stay for a little while or forever. But you're the orchestrator there. And that is the Force for all you Star Wars nerds, myself included. You know, this body is essentially dead. But there's an energy within each component of the body, the one universal energy that is vibrating the neurosynapses and it is giving density to the bones, and you know, these gray hairs, well, those took many a lover's quarrel to put them there, so I'm happy to represent those. And anywho, any questions? I've been going on. Let's see. Thank you, Zoda. yeah, any questions? Joseph S. or Joseph, so good to see you doing your photography thing, brother. Aloha. If not, I'm going to cut it short. I feel like that... no, I can't cut it short. What am I talking about? I didn't even finish my journey. Okay, so left conventional work in February and went to Oregon and stayed with a friend there and allowed the journey to begin. And if you look at these videos on my Facebook fan page, they're shot by rivers and whatnot. And this is a very real experience to me. But if you ask your environment what would make the best outcome for your purpose, which my purpose was sharing beautiful stories that related to nature and showed our commonality, etc., the environment will tell you in the form of symbols. When a tree leaf gets your attention, that's consciousness saying, hey, and it's connecting with your consciousness. And then what does that tree leaf make you think of? Well, maybe there's a road in that direction, so then you go in that direction. And then there is a sign that says yield. So that means yield to whatever is coming. And the moment you see something, you just say, that's it, I'm gonna go with that. And then you pick a space. So you talk to the ground, or you talk to the trees, and you say, where would be the best place to get this shot that I want? And just like I communicated with the painting and the lamp and this chair, I'm asking my environment, how will this setup work? And I think we're doing all right. I even got the little bongo in the back. I mean, the set's rocking. And I'm a dude that is homeless, but in a different sense. My home is anywhere the stars blanket the sky. But I don't need a home because I'm always home in my own heart and living out of my own center. And what I've given, I recognize is coming back to me. And I have been a guest in many houses and taught to be impeccable with how I take care of them. And so, whether I'm in this gorgeous house or another, as I've been, or in my car, which I also have been, I'm always knowing that I have no concern for what's behind me, and I can't possibly worry about what's ahead of me. So all I have is right here, right now. And so in that time in Oregon, I shot these videos, and granted, I self-published my book, The Reward of Not Knowing, in 2013, and then I got my fan page, and I was ready to roll. I even have my website, therewardofnotknowing.com, and it just sat there, empty. Nothing was being generated, created, because that's where I was. I was a reflection of the symbol called Facebook. And funny enough, called fan page. I was not a fan of my own self enough to care to put some time and energy into it. So in order to do that, work had to go and play had to begin. And because I grew up learning how to do handyman work by being the man of the house, that has served me, and I go and stay, and I am intrinsic value. What I am capable of doing with my hands and body and persona to enhance somebody's life in exchange for a roof over my head is my shtick. So it's not all about money. Money is just a means to an end, and I had that drilled into my head over and over again, because at one time all I wanted to get was money because I never had any. And instead, the mentors that came into my life were saying, you are the money, you are gold. You know, like Mikey is the winner from, what's that movie? Swingers. You know, you're like this, anyway, there. So, they were teaching me, put quality in everything you do, and that is going to be paid back to you tenfold. And so I became to learn that work and what I love to do is less about the money and more about the quality of, and giving the best of myself. And if I'm not doing something that I'm interested in, I'm not giving the best of myself. And because I couldn't give the best of myself in the workforce anymore, I left and I stopped. Even Oprah said, if everything is falling apart, the best thing you can do is just stop. Because it's better to go in no direction than to continue in the wrong direction. Which means there's only one direction to go, the unknown path. And with all the hardships behind you as guideposts to say, hey, here's this. Nope, you're like, nope, I'm not going to do that. I've been there before, almost got me. You'll guide yourself to higher and higher levels of consciousness until you figure out what it is you want to do with your life. And I feel like the young individuals of this world that are up and coming are very broad-minded, are just ready to have to be shown a path that empowers them, not to give them our path as the older generation, but to encourage their innovation and be more like them, not the other way around. And the new models are amazing. So what we can do with the way we communicate with one another, there is such a thing as sharing multiple minds and getting information from a dimension that you thought, wow, I've never thought about that. Where did that come from? And then you find that it was related to somebody else in a whole other country shared that same thought. Everything is interconnected. Man did not weave the web of life. He is merely a strand in it. And whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. So, back to the journey. After Oregon, I then took off to the Bay Area and through handyman clients, managed to get some amazing backdrops for these videos that I made with Smoky Mirrors. So if anybody's reading the Four Agreements, you'll read about a character named Smoky Mirrors, and I borrow the term and I wear a Guy Fawkes mask, and I have a video on my Facebook page that explains that. I'll release that again and out to the groups. But anywho, the point of that character that I do, Smoky Mirrors, is to clear the smoke between our realities, the person across from you. The way you add more smoke is you make assumptions about them. Well, how can you make an assumption about somebody you couldn't possibly know because you don't even know yourself truly? And, but when you stop making assumptions and you don't take anything personally and you're impeccable with your word and you always do your best, then that smoke clears. And so this character that I do, Smoky Mirrors, is, you might say, clown-like, meaning that he is not the final character. He is transcendent to something. And so because you can't identify my face, you have no judgments about this individual. All you know is he's wearing a smile. And so when somebody greets you with a smile, you're just automatically compelled to return the smile. So I feel that's happening out there. Besides, home is a roof, good one. So anywho, where was I going with this? So this messenger, I recite poetry or ideas so that they're not coming from an individual, but they're coming from a broader experience. If you can't identify the person, then you have no attachments, which means you're open to the message. And messages are symbols, the information that your ears are longing for your heart's knowledge. And the moment they hear it, they're like, aha. And that's what an epiphany is. No one can give you an aha moment by explaining it to you. It has to be experienced by a work of art or music or something that just, oh, that's it, that really strikes you as affirmative. Now I'm currently in the Central Coast of California in wine country, and it's now August 1st. I've been mentioning the moon, the cycles of the moon lately, and my life has been opening up to new aspects of my personality and also dying to old aspects of my personality. So the whole purpose of these videos is through my own demonstration to show you that all of you can choose this method or a number of methods out there. But the point is, get to know yourself and do it by taking risk. And I'm taking risk out here. I'm like a man walking a high wire act. There is no safety net. But you know, there is no such thing as a safety net. If you meditate, there's a yogi that when he lives every day of his life, he envisions a sword suspended above his head, being held by a thread of silk. And that's how fragile life is, and how on the edge of life we always are. So the idea is not to proceed forth with fear, but to proceed forth with curiosity. What am I going to do with all this time I have? I can think of a time when I used to fear death until death told me, well, if I come for you today, what would you have done with your life? And I said, well, why today? Can't I have another week? And he says, well, I gave you 52 weeks this year. Is that how many are in them? Anyway, 364 other days. Let's go with that. And when you look at it that way, what are you doing with the other 364 days before this one? Doesn't matter, because whatever you want to do is over here towards the infinite. And so that's where I'm at. And I feel this journey is going to continue to progress, take me to new places in the soon time, just like it is all of us. So keep the faith. Prince pops into my mind for some reason right now, but that's all I got. Thank you, Alicia. So with that, Road Dog in outer space. Aloha.